So today, the heart chakra, we're talking about expansion, connection, flow, and of course, love. And we're connected by love. We're all connected by love, and we're all connected by the fact that we all have a heart, right? Except some things don't have hearts, like sponges and jellyfish and plants, and the Tin Man didn't have a heart, but oh boy, did he want a heart, you know? And we kicked off this series talking about, you know, the yellow brick road, and, you know, the Tin Man, he wanted a heart so bad that he literally sang this song to his heart, which was, I'd be gentle, I'd be tender, and awfully sentimental regarding love and art. I'd be friends with the sparrows and the boys who shoot the arrows if I only had a heart. And it made me think about my son Owen, who's with us today. And one time when he was younger, we took him to a show. I don't remember if Will remembers this, but it was so funny. We took him to the show. My cousin was in Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, and Owen went with us, and there was Mary Magdalene singing her heart out, and we got home, and Owen goes, Mom, the little guy who shoots the arrows, he got me. I thought that was so funny, because at first I was like, you know, was it an action figure? Was it another kid? And I was like, oh, Cupid, yeah. So yeah, the thing is, having a heart is a dangerous thing because sometimes they hurt. You know, sometimes we get got by by that Cupid who shoots us right in the heart. And the wizard said to the Tin Man, like, be careful what you wish for, because, you know, it's not so great to have a heart. Everybody knows that. If you only knew how lucky you are not to have a heart. Hearts will never be practical until they're made unbreakable. You know? So the beauty of the heart is that it breaks. And it breaks to grow, you know? And hearts are like lobsters. You don't hear that too often. But if you watch the rabbi on YouTube talk about the lobster and how the lobster grows within its shell, but the shell doesn't grow. So it gets to the point of discomfort, and then it has to shed its shell and, you know, crawl under a rock in its tender state and grow a harder shell. And that's the same with hearts too. Like, they need to be broke open so that they can expand into a greater capacity for love. And so having a heart broken is actually good news. It's not. It's very painful, but it is fertile ground for miracles, you know? And no one can escape it. And yet it's the calling, the echo from that broken place that draws us into a bolder and a stronger version of ourselves that we didn't think we were capable of. We've all had broken hearts, you know? This is the truth and the whole truth. But we don't want to get our hearts broken on purpose just to, look how much I'm going to love. In fact, we are charged with caring for our hearts, taking care of our hearts, and getting to know and honor our hearts. And that's what we're talking about today with the heart chakra. The two colors of the heart chakra are pink and green. And the green talks about, fertility and thriving and growing. It's also, quite often connected with jealousy and greed. So you could say when your heart is in jealousy or greed that you have a little congestion in your heart chakra. That's all. It's okay. It's just information. And then pink is about, tenderness and the femininity and, self-love. So there's a couple of facts about the heart, about connection. Our hearts actually have intelligence within them. First of all, they're our most loyal organ. They have been with us since the very, not the moment of our conception, but they started beating 3 to 5 weeks after our conception and haven't stopped since. They're the consistent rhythmic pattern of our lives. The heart is that little loyal conductor within each of us, and its tenacity and its strength sends blood throughout our entire body to connect all of the organs in this beautiful, rich red river. And we're connected. That's how we're connected on the inside, how our organs are connected, but we're connected on the outside. Our heart has heartstrings that goes out to people, places, and things that we feel a connection with. And we connect through love. The heart's also connected through the bottom 3 chakras and the top 3 chakras. It's the center of the chakras. So it really, speaks to us of this connection. And we're pulled into life through these heartstrings of what we're connected to. So, where does your heart call you? What lights you up? Those are the places that you're actually supposed to show up to. And the more we live from this open-hearted, this pure-hearted, this strong-hearted, this light-hearted place, the more authenticity we're going to have, the more joy and peace. The heart chakra is really about authenticity. It's about telling our truth and honoring our truth. Actually, it's about knowing our truth. And then as it moves up, it hits the throat chakra, and then we're ready to express it. But first we have to know our truth before we express it. So it's about honoring our truth. And the truth is, in you, it will tell you where to go, what to do, and what to say. Because that truth is connected to a truth, the only truth that there is. It's not bendable. You know, if you connect with this inner truth, you know, you'll be divinely guided of where to go, what to do, and what to say. There's a quote that I love from the Gospel of Truth, actually, that was not in the Bible. It was left out of the Bible. They found it in the Gnostic writings. And it said, "This is the perfect day, and within you dwells a light that cannot fail." And that's that truth, you know? It's unfailable. And truth is like that. You know, Gloria Steinem says, you know, the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. You know? So the heart chakra the healthy heart chakra is about movement. You know, it will cause us to move in the direction of our dreams. It will tell us what has heart and meaning for us. To have heart and meaning means that it holds a vitality and a truth for us. And when you think about things that have movement, you could say these things have life in them. You know, so the heart actually causes us to move into a greater direction of life and vitality. It has one thing about our hearts is that stories and songs are really good for our heart, you know? When we go out to Voice Box, when we go out to see Kathy sing, when we go out to see live demonstrations of art and music, it literally lights up our hearts, you know? So these are things that are good for our heart. Movement and engaging in creativity are good for our hearts. Do what makes your heart sing, you know? Do what you love. The heart's a universal symbol for love. The heart's the first organ that was developed in your mother's belly. The heart's the size of both hands put together. So this is like the size of your heart. And another fact about hearts is that owning a cat will reduce the risk of heart attacks by 1/3. Little tidbit for you. Well, Google says. Google God. So the heart has 4 chambers, and those that we're going to talk about today are pure-hearted, light-hearted, strong-hearted, and open-hearted. And if we really open up those chambers of the heart, we will have wholeheartedness. We will get to move into life with a wholehearted nature. There's a lot of teachings on the heart, and one of them is heart math. If you've ever heard of heart math, you can Google it and go deep with that. It's a great information and great science is being put behind the heart and how we are actually connected by our heart wisdom. So the heart pumps blood, and that's the wisdom, and it picks up the energies that actually your heart can pick up the energy of other people. This is what they say in the heart math, that heart wisdom is true wisdom. And if we listen to it, it will help us navigate with grace. It will help us to be less aggressive, more peaceful, more cooperative, and more open. And when you live in the energy, you'll literally create an energetic field around you to help others to attune to that vibration. And if you learn to live in the language of your heart and the language of love, your energy, your heart will speak to others, and there will be a connection that goes beyond words. So this is all, we're speaking energetically here, and you will not actually believe these words that I'm saying until you try them out. So try them out, you know, try them out today. Say, you know, I'll give you a little exercise that we're going to do to open up the heart, and then see if you can move about from that place of heart opening. And this morning when we talked about, gosh, there's some rough patches in our life that we have to figure out. That's the intellect. How am I going to do it? What's going to happen? If we open up our hearts and really commit to being heart-centered, doors will appear where there once were walls. Guitars that we sold will come back to us. They'll never leave. So, you know, expect the unexpected when you move from your heart center. It's a very vulnerable place to move from, but it's a very strong place to move from. Heart math says that the heart is an access point for wisdom, and when you hold the genuine core feeling of appreciation and compassion, you increase your heart, what they call your heart cohesion. So the word cohesion is the quality of being logical and consistent. Cohesive, you know, it's a forming of a unifying wholeness. And so you could say cohesion is very close to the idea of holiness, you know, to have cohesion with life, to see where you fit with things in life, to not be separate from life, to not build walls but build bridges, to have a cohesive relationship with life. So this is the tool that they give you on the heart map, and we can do it together. You can close your eyes if you feel you want to, but first we're just going to go ahead and focus our attention on our heart. And if you would feel called to, you can just go ahead and place your hand over your heart. Some of us have had so many little broken hearts that we never really take the time to say thank you to our hearts and to, thank it for its invincible nature, even though it's been broken a million times. So when you place your hand on your heart, you might actually feel some of that sadness. You might actually come in contact with some of those unacknowledged feelings in your heart. You might also feel a little bit of joy or happiness. The next step is to breathe slowly. And take a breath in and bring it right into your heart center. And then exhale right from your heart center. And breathe in right to your heart. Feel your heart energy. And breathe out from your heart. And maybe even as you're doing this exercise, you could make a sweet commitment to your heart. I'm going to move in love. Now, whatever that means. I'm going to activate this whole holy, sacred heart within me. And in this stillness, maybe you can even see if you can feel the little pitter-patter of your heart. And now for 1 minute, we're going to just go through the Rolodex of things that we are appreciative of, the things that we're grateful for. And feeling that in your heart. When you're ready, you can just gently open your eyes and take in the beauty of this room, if that's what you're called to do. I've been practicing this heart exercise for a little bit, and I'll tell you, it's a game changer. Like, it really is a lovely little exercise. It requires that we slow down and get mindful. And when we slow down and get mindful, slow down the mind, the heart gets to open up and say, oh, this is what I have to say. So often we lead with the head and we go headstrong into the world and we're banging our heads against the wall. And the heart is like, excuse me, I could help you out a little here. And when Letty talked about being in alignment, the thoughts, the heart, and the will, that's when we can say, I'm a full channel for God's love. There's no congestion. And what I think in my mind, what I hold in my heart, and what I have in my will are in alignment. And we actually have to bring the intellect back down to the heart and have a marriage there. So it takes a little practice, but a little practice goes a long way. And when you're in cohesion, you're present. You are present, and you can move mountains and cause powerful, positive shifts, as you said, which was so beautiful. Powerful, positive presence in the world. This is heart math, and it's an interesting field to go into. And I have a little quote from the guy who developed heart math. His name is Doc Child. And he says, heart presence is about having more of your real self show up in each moment. Wouldn't that be nice? It's about being mentally, emotionally, and physically present in the heart. We often put so much energy and focus on how we present ourselves, the way we appear, what we wear, what we say, what car we drive. If we put a fraction of that energy into how we present ourselves on the mental and emotional level, we can greatly reduce anxiety and increase our vitality. That is such a simple little exercise. It's almost like why wouldn't you do that? So establishing cohesion opens us to energy and to passion, and it ensures that we meet those goals that our heart are whispering to us, but we go wholly. We no longer go fractured, we go complete and wholly. The heart cohesion helps us to get and stay clear about our life purpose, our clarity in relationship with others. That's just so beautiful. So Angeles Arian, who does a lot of great work in the world, she has some questions about the heart, specifically the four-chambered heart. She says, where are you currently full-hearted in your life and work? Where is your heart open to new ideas and people and experiences? Where are you clear or pure in respect to your vision and values and your behavior? It's a good question. And the last one is, what situations require courage and perseverance, which is the fruit of strong-heartedness? So check in with your heart. There's an old proverb that says the heart sees better than the eyes, which is interesting. Having heart cohesion is not just about filling yourself with good vibes. It's not just about eating the right foods and, getting some motion in your life or getting a cat. But it is about not corroding your spiritual arteries with unforgiveness and resentments and jealousy and all things that make us small and tight. These are the things that literally weaken our hearts. To be strong-hearted doesn't mean that we're first and we're fierce and we're fighting. That doesn't get us anywhere. But that we're first and we're fierce and we're forgiving. That gets us somewhere. It takes more strength to forgive than it does to fight. And it takes even greater strength. It takes the most strength to hold a crucifixion and a resentment. And nobody here is that strong. It will break you. Let me just tell you that. You're not that strong. You don't want to be that strong. So the central idea of A Course in Miracles is that we're all innocent. And this helps us to open up and be lighthearted with each other. That we were created good, beautiful, and holy to create the good, the beautiful, and holy. That's the reality. And it goes on to say that reality and unreality cannot coexist. It would be like being in a dream and also being fully awake. And we've been told and sold the idea that we're broken, that we're incomplete. That's not the truth, So to be pure-hearted, we must accept the truth and to let go of the illusion. And the illusion is any place that we get hung up or strung out. When you're strong-hearted, you're pure-hearted. When and you become light-hearted. A light-hearted is another central idea of A Course in Miracles. It says all separation happens when the son and daughter of God forget to laugh. So where could you infuse a little humor in the situation? Humor is so healing. It says in the Course that joy is an inevitable result of gentleness. Gentleness. We can all use a little gentleness, specifically during this holiday season. Gentleness means that fear is now impossible. Isn't that nice to know? That we could come, that what could come to interfere with your joy? The open hands of gentleness are always filled. So, in order to keep your hands open will help you to keep your heart open. Closing your hands like this. I always like to say, you never see Jesus like this, or Mother Mary like, I'll kick your ass. Or Buddha. They're always like this. They're always like this. They're open-handed, and it's a beautiful demonstration for us because when we have open hands, it means our hearts are open. We're even when you think about this pose, like I'm not here to do any harm. And I'm here to help. Open hands mean helpfulness. Open hands also means I'm ready to receive my good. This means I'm going to fight for my good. And this means I'm ready to receive my good. So it seems like the last thing we want to choose, but it's the smartest thing for us to do. So this section in the Course in Miracles, it's simply saying there's nothing to fear. You go nowhere without your internal God. You're surrounded by angels in the mighty hand of God. You live in the hands of God. If we knew that, if we knew who walked with us every step and breath of the way, it would be impossible for us to have fear. I've said it a million times before, and I'll say it a million times again. This is the day the Lord has made for you to rejoice and be glad, So you can take your spiritual temperature on how joyful you are. And it's not mad to be in joy. It's actually really great to be in joy. We have a couple people who are going to speak to us about purity of heart. So I'm just going to roll through this, and then we're going to hear from Jarrell and from Will. So open-heartedness, and yet heartbreak is a fact of life. So that is true. Sometimes you might find yourself like this, and that's okay and totally forgivable. No one's safe from the heartbreak. The insurance companies don't sell coverage on that sort of thing. And so when it happens, it kind of leaves you a little bit blindsided and spinning, And you get into those classrooms and you feel like, as Joe would say, you got a spiritual 2x4 across the head, and it's painful to have your heart broken because we don't plan to have our heart broken. Breakups and breakdowns are something that's supposed to happen to the other guy, not us. And we're not, being stupid or silly or, Pollyanna when we think that. We just don't plan for for those kind of upsets. It's not something you think about, when you're falling into love with life. But life has those beautiful classrooms in them. And we'll be brought to our knees and we'll curse the heavens and we'll mop the floor with our, ugly tears. I've been there, And the punch will land and the wind will take the wind will leave our sails and the world will turn its back. And when that happens, keep the door open. It's a sure tenderization of the soul, and yet from this pruning, in the aftermath, all that's burned away, in that spot, there will swell a bolder version of ourselves. So don't shut down. Keep the door open. We come to our brokenness, and although it's not an appointment anyone looks forward to, it's something almost mystical that arises from the ashes of these death experiences, these things that die. And we get through it and we hold on, and if we keep the door open even just a little bit, we will witness something that's beyond beautiful. You've seen it. You've seen it. We will experience and witness our consciousness expanding. That is something so beautiful. For all the heartbreak in the world, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. This doesn't sound like a good PR pitch. But we have heard the idea what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I don't really ascribe to that notion. I think the strength was there all along, like Dorothy's red shoes. She just didn't know she had it. She didn't know how to access it through love. So the Life Giver classroom through pain. We can be pushed by pain or pulled by passion. So, it's not like you don't have a choice here. If you're on fire in your passion, you won't hit it up against those classrooms, or if you do hit up against those classrooms, you'll be so on fire that you will pass them by and not even see them. So I'm not saying you can only learn through pain. You have the option of moving into your passion. The catastrophes of life are actually the catalyst to connect us to our inner strength. Our breakdowns usually precede our breakthroughs. There will be death and grief and loss, and careers will crumble, and dreams and the harsh hand that helps us to hit bottom will come, And it's terrible and beautiful. But there's something funny in that. Pain plus time is very funny. And you'll have some good stories to tell. I survived. Ernest Hemingway says, the world breaks everyone, and afterwards many are strong in the broken places, but those that will not break are killed. It kills the very good, the very gentle, and the very brave impartially. And if you're none of these things, you will surely be killed yourself, but there will be no special hurry. It's horrible. But what I want to say is, don't take your heartbreaks personally. It's odd to think that strength is a thing that we meet in our weakest moment. But our personal ground zero can be the foundation of huge growth. The pain of playing the victim eventually gets costly, and we all have to shed the story like the lobster and develop a bigger and stronger heart. And remember what the wizard said to the Tin Man once he got his heart. Remember, my sentimental friend, that a heart is not judged by how much you love, but by how much you are loved by others. Isn't that beautiful? So we have a couple people who are going to share on the heart, and one of them is our friend, Jarrell.
All right. So my name is Jarrell. I am the oldest child and son of Letty, which is my mom. I'm here to speak about purity of heart from my own perspective. So the way I had to learn it, I was basically learning how to accept myself, accept others, accept everything around me, no matter what form it takes. So one example of this is me accepting and trying to find the love in finding out that I was on the autism spectrum. So I was upset about this at first, because I had autism since I was 2 and learned about it 10 years later, basically, when I was 12. So not only was I upset about about the thought that I had this the whole time, I had no idea what it was. So, and I had no way to speak about what was different about me. Now I just enter middle school, and now I have an idea of what it is, and it said, but the issue with me was finding the beauty in it, and I was really unhappy around those times because I couldn't find the beauty in autism. I'm happy to say that I'm able to find it a lot easier by just thinking about the stuff I am grateful for. So I may have autism, but I'm happy. I may have autism, but well, I have both parents. I have a father. I have 2 sisters too, and well, a cat. We used to have 2 cats, but we have a cat. So I'm also grateful for that. I have a lot of energy. I'm very healthy, and I always try to look at stuff as, oh, this is really joyful. Oh, this is going to be fun. Oh, even though I have to sit here for 3 hours, I can make the best of it. I can like finger tuck my way into you know what I mean? So that's what I try to do. Also, dang, trying to figure out what I'm about to say next.
That was perfect, Jarrell. That was perfect. Thank you so much. Oh my God. That was perfect.
Thank you.
Your personal story is your miracle.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, Jarrell came to me beforehand and he was telling me what he was going to speak on, and he told me some examples, and I said, could you make it a personal example? And using your personal example, Jarrell, that is your miracle. Like, that is what you get to bring out into the world, and you did such a great job. You're so articulate and so clear, and you are a pure heart. And it's so beautiful to get to witness you. Thank you.
Yeah, Jarrell.
Got that off my chest, back, and stomach.
Last night, Maureen said, can you talk on being, what am I talking on? Strong-hearted? And I was like, yeah, I got this.
You got this.
She did not ask me, would you like to speak right after the most charming? That was not part of what I said. Here we are. But she said, really, you could say something about me strong-hearted? I said, yeah, sure, I'm a teacher, it's what I do for a living. She said, well, what would you say? I was like, I'd say something about Nelson Mandela, which is sort of cheating because you can pick Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, you know, Martin Luther King, and find something good to say on one of them. And someday we'll probably be able to add Maureen Muldoon to that list.
No.
She kind of sleeping with me sometimes. But what came to me right off the top of my head, strong-hearted, it means, you know, loving and when it's hard, when you need to be strong to do so. We can all love when everything's lovely and wonderful and everything's going our way, but it's a different story for me, for example, and many of us, when it's a challenge to do so. And if you look at someone like Nelson Mandela, who was imprisoned as a political prisoner in, I believe, I should have done my research, but solitary confinement for 23 hours a day for 27 years. Upon his release, upon being elected president of South Africa, he then appointed his captors to his
Cabinet.
His cabinet, his what's the word I'm looking for?
Advisory team?
His collaboration, his government, in the interest of healing, in the interest of unity, in the interest of coming together and healing his nation. He chose to love and forgive and unify rather than seeking punishment or justice for his perpetrators. And that is a pretty impressive example of being strong-hearted, loving in the face of challenges rather than being vindictive or seeking retribution, which is a pretty normal reaction. I think a lot of us would have gotten a little bit of payback. But the benefits, I think, in those moments of being strong-hearted far outweigh what you do, of course, is set yourself free. Yes, he unified the country. Yes, he brought his society forward. But I believe he also, on a personal level, set himself free. Rather than staying in prison, staying in those four walls, staying in bondage, he liberated himself by doing so. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to connect this next thing to being strong-hearted at all. But if I can, then good for me. If I can't, oh well. This morning, I was reading the paper in a strong-hearted fashion. And I saw an article that I forwarded to Maureen and some of the board members here that I thought might resonate, and Maureen asked me to share some of that briefly here this morning. So there's an architect who you may or may not have heard of named Adrian Smith, and he's a big deal architect, and his, at least currently, most famous building is the Burj Khalifa, which is the world's tallest tower in Dubai. He's the head of a Chicago-based architectural firm, and the story is about him and his architectural firm designing a satellite church for Willow Creek. They're opening up a new space, Willow Creek North Shore in Glenview, I believe. Yeah, in Glenview next month. And this is their 7th, I believe, satellite church. Willow Creek is a mega church, evangelical church, based in South Barrington. And they have, I don't even know, tens and tens of thousands of parishioners come every week. But the article starts with this. When world-renowned architect Adrian Smith begins to draft the scheme for one of his towering buildings, he and his wife Nancy get on their knees and pray. He says, "I pray for wisdom and inspiration and guidance, not only for me, but for all those who work with me, because you never know where good ideas are going to come from or how they're going to surface." He then goes on to, the article asks the question, why would someone of this stature deem to design a one-story, relatively simple building for a church? And they draw on the parable of Jesus about having the faith of a mustard seed that says something to the effect of, if your faith is even as small as a mustard seed, you can move mountains. The point is, there's nothing that you can't do if you have faith. And so the article draws that parallel and talks about how this little community of tens of thousands of people are able to get this bigwig, but person of faith to design their new space. And it sounds incredibly lovely, to be honest. But it says that by using creative construction methods and materials, Smith created a model for other churches to follow. And that's what struck a chord with me. I was like, okay, so maybe someday there might be a model for us to follow, should we be in a position to build our own space. Smith said the building is purposely designed to look like a community center instead of a church. It wants to reach people who are intimidated by going into more traditional staid church buildings, he said. It wants to reach out to those who are searching. Sound familiar? So the new facility features a modest 1,200-seat auditorium surrounded by a common area where attendees can enjoy coffee or watch worship services on video screens. The space will also house offices and classrooms. A children's area will accommodate up to 400 kids per service. So I thought that could work. That could work. And it closes with, why would a guy who has built the tallest buildings in the world devote this much time to a single-story structure? The answer is faith and his love for our community. This is home as well. And I think that resonated with me as well. We're building a home. We are truly the size of a mustard seed right now, but who knows? Maybe great things are in store for us too.
So what do you think? I would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below, or you can go ahead and sign up for our newsletter at speakeasyspiritualcommunity.com so we can keep the conversation going. Because Speakeasy is all about engaging in engaging conversations. Everything is better when we all share our voice. I'm Maureen Muldoon, your spiritual vixen, reminding you to love more and fear less, and don't forget to laugh. What do you say?